This is such a monster bishop. White's king is so open that you'll never lose this, I feel, with black. So in terms of risk, minimal here. The other variations we were talking about, oh wow, okay, I was about to get there. Bishop takes g3 on the board, fireworks, and a double exclamation point. This one, higher reward maybe, but what do you think, Peter? More risk?
Well, the big question is, what is the follow-up? Yeah, because one of Robert's idea was first AG and then Queen G6, but then he also highlighted the Knight F4 idea. This is, and I think Knight F4 is the move that Jan wants to play.
Look at Hikaru. Did you see that? He shook his head. And in some ways, this is reminiscent of what he said about his first round game against Fabiano. Fabiano didn't expect rook takes f2. Well, the good news for Fabiano, his position was good. Here, Hikaru does not have an engine at his disposal. He is worried. He is seeing the tactics, and that makes it abundantly clear. I don't think he's playing psychological games. He is worried about how this game is going and that he might be in trouble. So Hikaru needs to calm down. Peter, you have world championship experience. How difficult is it to keep your composure or to regain your composure after you miss a move like bishop takes pawn, sacrificing a piece right in front of your king?
Well, I don't think that Hikaru could have missed the move bishop takes g3. The big question is, did he miss this brilliancy with knight f4 check? Yeah, because that's the hidden move. H takes g3, knight f4 check, sacrificing another knight and then going for this king f1, knight g3 position where white will have a rook and two minor pieces against the queen, but the light squares are very vulnerable, and I feel like black will always have perpetual check. Yeah, this is like in the Marshall Gambit, but I perfectly feel with Hikaru that this is extremely dangerous, and he's fighting for survival in the complications.
Look at that reaction from Hikaru. I don't think Jan's even at the board, so this is definitely not for show for his opponent. It's definitely kind of panic setting in. He's lucky, again, Hikaru, that he has 48 minutes on the clock. I mean, if this were the time scramble with 5 minutes left, I think everyone in the world would fall apart right now. But he does have time to recover once he gets over the initial kind of emotions attached to seeing a move like bishop takes g3, black already being a piece, the exchange down, and now throwing a piece on the fire as well. Process of elimination, we talked about it before. I think you just need to take this bishop and live with the consequences. Nothing else comes to mind. Knight f4 check is such a deadly threat. So maybe it's a good thing for Hikaru here that objectively he's still fine and he's being forced to find the best moves. Yeah, I think we might just jump in just to predict what will happen. And Robert, your move, knight f4, about to appear on the board, and it is causing Hikaru this initial stage of panic.
Well, that's why I asked this question earlier, because I still, even though I spotted knight f4 check, thanks to Pragnanda, I'm giving him a shout out. But look at Hikaru, by the way. He is thrown through a loop right now. He's not enjoying what's happened. He needs to settle down and just properly assess the position. Stop thinking about what you might have missed and look what's available to you. But in this position, after h takes g3, knight f4 check, black is going to win the white queen, right? That's what's on tap, but has given up so much material of his own. So it's going to be a queen for, if I'm counting correctly, 2 knights and a rook. That is so much material. And here we see Jan quickly play knight f4 check. It's captured, and queen g6 the only move. Peter, this was a quick tactical sequence. What do you think? I mean, at this stage, the bar is in the middle, but do you think either player has the upper hand?
Well, they are reaching this Marshallist position. Yeah, knight g3 check, king f2, knight takes e2, knight takes e2. Yeah, and okay, give white couple of moves, rook a3, rook g3. White will be perfectly fine, but I feel like this light squared bishop combination with the queen is putting quite a lot of pressure on Hikaru, and black should always be safe. So if someone, then it's more Hikaru that needs to worry about this position.
David, you on the same page?
Yeah, I've said it once. I think I've said it twice. I'll say it again, though. This really reminds me of Kramnik versus Leko, that Marshall, where the black queen got in and the white king was dancing around. White also had, if I remember correctly, a rook, an a1, a bishop on c1, trapped the whole game pretty much. And then it was also queen versus several piece imbalance. We're going to get that here. So we're here with the master, Peter. And yeah, I would take black as well. It feels like black is risking absolutely zero, despite being slightly down on material. The queen is so powerful. That being said, unfortunately, I can't unsee the bar, so I know that white is fine. But yeah, Hikaru, his emotions are going to be up and down. So if Jan can maybe force him to be accurate for a few more moves, then it's definitely possible for white to slip and fall in this type of position, Robert.
And I think
Yeah,
in
I
the
would
other
like-
direction. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just quickly going to say that if white gets a few turns, and David can do this, if you hold the bishop and put it on e3 for a second, like if that bishop could jump over the knight, or the rook could somehow get towards the king side, we would be talking about that extra material for white. But Peter, I think you probably were going to say something to the effect of there's no coordination from the white camp.
Yeah, well, I wanted to highlight one line which is, I think, very important, that if black plays queen g2, setting up bishop g4, then...
Oh, sorry, my mouse slip.
Yeah.
I'll bring it to g2. Go on,
yes,
Peter.
queen g2. Yes, then white plays the move rook a3. But then bishop g4. Yeah, for example, this was very dangerous. And rook e3 might still be hanging on, but it's very dangerous. So probably after queen g2, white has to play knight f1. And suddenly the knights will be protecting each other. Yeah, because it's quite fascinating. Bishop d3 or bishop g4, then knight f1 to g3 holds things together, and then rook a3 is coming, and suddenly white is better. Be careful, watch out. Bishop g4 played, by the way, instead of queen g2.
So quick from Jan. Is that surprising? He's only got 25 minutes, but there was so many options. Bishop d3, queen g2, bishop g4, forcing the white rook to step up. Oh, it's hanging by a thread for Hikaru here. Queen c2, he's lucky. He's got rook c3 to boot the queen out. I mean, it's really scary times, but it looks like he's defending really, really well here. And yeah, likewise, queen e6, I guess, is met by knight f3. Just, again, hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Took me a while to see that. I was like, wait, why is queen e6 not just winning on the spot? Pin and win. But yeah, knight f3. Ooh, Hikaru. Credit to him if he calculated all this when he played a4. If not, then yeah, just luck and skill going hand in hand here. White is holding, white is defending.
And this is just watching two elite attackers go at one another, because when you're an elite attacker, you are calculating how your opponent's going to defend. So there's no surprise to me that Hikaru is one of the best defensive players of all time, so resourceful. Jan, I don't think he gets the same credit, because we often see him, especially in the candidates, on the aggressive side. But think about all the games he has saved in the candidates. And I'm not just talking about this one. If we go back to 2022 and you see him look up at Hikaru, he had a tough position against Hikaru, saved that one. He had a tough position with both colors against Fabiano, didn't lose either of those games. Here in 2024, well, against Pragananda, we saw him survive. So Jan Nepomniachtchi, he continues to pose problems to his opponents, and he is an exceptional defender in his own right. One of the biggest criticisms of his game was that he would play too quickly. He was impulsive. He wouldn't settle in and think when he needed to. But the candidates brings the best out of him. The way he withstood this preparation, the material deficit, and has come to this moment, and he is not rushing right now. He is pausing because he doesn't want to assume he'll get a perpetual check that white can't avoid and make a draw. He doesn't want to assume that his compensation is enough. He wants to prove it. And David, you mentioned queen e6, knight f3. That's easy to overlook if you're playing quickly. So Peter, again, you have that world championship experience. How impressed are you with Jan Nepomniachtchi surviving these games when it seems like he's in the back foot?
Well, okay, in this exact game, I never felt like he's in the back foot. In fact, I had the feeling like Hikaru's preparation was not deep enough. He might have been focused on computer's evaluation instead of, for example, listening to his inner feelings, yeah, because black had this crazy positional compensation, yeah, so of course, Hikaru is a brilliant calculator, and he spots all these defenses with rook a3, knight f3. The same, like you highlighted, can be said by about Jan. Yeah, he's also so resourceful. He had been saving bad positions, but exactly here, I never felt like he was in any danger at all. It's practically speaking, Hikaru is playing with fire.
I love how calm you are, Peter, because I don't want to speak on David's behalf. I know I was there shaking. Someone's prepped. That's scary. You know how Hikaru can be. But David, now that we've seen the game unfold the way it has, Jan has pretty much played everything correctly. There was a moment where the engine didn't love one of his decisions, but still said he was well within the range of keeping dynamic equality. So, what can you say? Oh, really about both these two? As we see the accuracy numbers pop up. Giannis had 3 brilliant moves in this game. Do you feel like this is justified? Those exclamation points.
I totally agree with this. Jan's played some incredible chess, especially considering that already, what was it, 11, 12 moves ago, he was unfamiliar or at least a little out of book just to navigate this and to kind of force Hikaru to be so accurate just to potentially hold a draw. Yeah, impressive play by Black. It's like you said earlier, two great gladiators going at each other. Yes, there was this really deep preparation thrown into the mix, but other than that, it's just great calculation, great awareness, blow after blow, attack versus defense, and ultimately after this bishop capture on e2, are we going to see a perpetual check? It feels like something's in the air here. I'm looking at queen to g2 check here for Black, or queen to g4. Jan shaking his head, staring down Hikaru there for a second. Do we think this game is going to fizzle out? Peter, I think there might be a repetition or perpetual check on the cards in the next few moves.
Yeah, somehow the body language also signals to me like Jan couldn't believe that there was nothing more than this, and he's kind of settling in some line where he thinks that though is the most likely result. There are different tries. Yeah, for example, this queen c2, rook c3, queen takes a4, knight f3 is just in time to stabilize everything for white. That would be a very bad deal for black, and he goes queen g1 exactly. He wants to hit the d4 pawn and the bishop on c1, and now all lies on Hikaru, because the only move that protects everything is the move knight d2 to b3, but then nothing moves again. Yeah, it's a very special situation. Black will have perpetual check for sure, but if he gives up the d4 pawn, then all his pawns will be very vulnerable. Robert, what is your take on this?
Knight b3 for sure, because rook c3, that's playing to lose. I truly believe that. Hikaru, the way he's shaking his head, he looks like he's given up hopes of winning this game. And it's probably feels disappointing. And you see it on his face. Like he wanted to win. He wanted it so bad. He came with very deep preparation. And as you said, Peter, about Gukesh, that if you're playing a sound variation, even if you're caught off guard, you know the foundation is strong. So for Jan Nepomniachtchi, he didn't even really teeter on the edge. He just played well. And for Hikaru, you see him. He does not want this game to end in the path that it's about to. Knight b3 gets rid of all the defenders for the white king, protects everything all at once. And here we see it. Knight to b3, a draw is about to occur. There's nothing that Hikaru can do. And for Jan, there's nothing really he can do either, because if the game continues, he's the one who is going to be losing in most of the continuations. So for him, check, check, check. Don't stop, because that's the way to end the game. David, you can see it on Hikaru's face, though. He is really disappointed.
Yeah, we saw some shakes of the head. We saw a smile even appear for a second from Hikaru. It must be frustrating for him. He landed this preparation, 20 plus moves he was familiar with, he'd seen before, he'd analyzed deeply before. But that's the thing with modern chess. Your opponent, if they've seen things as well, if they've analyzed deeply, calculated well, then often they are able to neutralize you. And ultimately, yes, disappointing because he banked so much on this game. If he'd won with white, taken down one of the leaders, he would have had a great chance in the second half of the tournament. But yeah, I don't think he can really blame himself here, Hikaru. He didn't really leave many chances, Jan. He just great accurate play. That whole middle game onwards, especially bishop takes g3, knight f4 check. And I just want to say, nice to see the mind games Jan stead. Hikaru down there for a second. And Peter, that's something we often see at all levels. Just keeping an eye on the opponent, just kind of coming to terms with what's inevitable now.
Yes, it's always so important, yeah, to try to get a feeling of your opponent. Yeah, Queen G2 check, as Robert beautifully highlighted. Yeah, Black will just keep on harassing White's king. Checks will be coming in on the light squares, and the special construction with Black's pawn on A5, White king can never run out, yeah, towards B4 and A5 because that pawn just fixes the B4 square. I also would say, like, what a game. Yeah, it's this really shows what modern chess is about. You have an insane level of preparation is involved, but still the players, the gladiators are fighting it out. You cannot prepare everything till the very end, and then you have to show some brilliant chess, and this is what they are showing us.
Clash of Titans. These two have really brought their best to today's game. And you see the players, they're going back and forth. Queen chasing the white king. Hikaru doesn't want this game to end in a draw, but he doesn't have a choice because Jan found every correct continuation, even this one. I actually took it for granted that this would be a draw no matter which way you went, but you had to find the right squares to check from. The light squares is where the queen belongs. It's where the queen sits, and it looks like after king up to c3, the queen will continue to give the checks. Peter, you made a great point. The a5 pawn seemed irrelevant for most of the game, but it makes sure that the white king cannot scamper and find safety.
Yeah, Peter, I just want to say that A5 move early in the opening, you said it's an idea, but I mean, it looks inspired now. A5, clearly this was the plan. 25 moves
Yes,
later, just to box in the white king.
yes, I will be opening my uh, files after the game, and if I see this final position in my file, I wouldn't be surprised. But no, I do believe that at some point some small inaccuracy happened, but it was the true spirit was very much in the game with knight d7, knight f6, king g8, knight e4.
And the players here, they've repeated a couple times, and Jan Nepomniachtchi quickly placing his queen on f3. And this should be the repetition, as there is no avoiding the checks. The players look at another, they shake hands, and a draw is the deserved result. The players, they want to know what the opponent was thinking, but nothing separated these two. A point separates them in the tournament, but Jan Nepomniachtchi holds with the black pieces. They're talking through all the possibilities. Hikaru, he does have a smile on his face, but you could see the pain just minutes ago as Jan uncorked bishop takes g3. David, this was such an epic clash. A draw was the result. People, they hate on draws, but come on, this was a fantastic game.